Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullah. Alhamdulillah. Wassalatu wassalamu ala rasulillah. The month of Ramadan is a life-changing experience. Every Muslim, even the sinners among them, sometimes he would think to himself and he would say, I wish I can be on the straight path. I wish I can be guided and have the joy in this life to be close to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And this is the opportunity for us, for all of us, to change our lives. So that after Ramadan, we are obedient servants to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. When a person looks from far away at the life of those who have taqwa, of those who have obedience to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, he might think that the life of these people is difficult, because there is halal and haram, permissible things and non-permissible things. They have to pray on prescribed times. They have to go to the masjid, many obligations and things of that nature. But as long as the person is far away, he won't get to see that this is the joy of this life. Happiness is something that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala put in the hearts of the believers. It's in the heart, and the heart is the creation of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. So this heart, which is the creation of Allah, can never have the real happiness unless the person fulfills the orders of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And these are the people that have the real joy in this life. As Shaykh al-Islam ibn Taymiyyah rahimahullah ta'ala, he said that there is a Jannah, paradise in this world. Whoever enters it, he will enter the paradise in the hereafter. This paradise on this earth is to be close to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. But there has to be a time of a test, striving in the cause of Allah to see who is truthful and who is not. After this period of being tested, and the person not necessarily feeling the goodness and the joy in the matters of worship, but after he fulfilled this period, then the life becomes, the joy of this life becomes when the person do the good deeds. When he refrain himself from disobeying Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And under any condition, we are created to worship Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala alone. Whether we feel like doing the acts of worship, whether we don't feel like doing the acts of worship, we are nothing but servants of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. So for us, in the month of Ramadan, it's very important that we have the opportunity to pass this period of being tested, in which after Ramadan, our life would have been changed to the better, to be among those who have taqwa, as we heard last time. How can we achieve this? If we do our fasting in the proper way, as Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala ordered us. And the ayah, يَا أَيُّهَا الَّذِينَ آمَنُوا كُتِبَ عَلَيْكُمُ الصِّيَامُ كَمَا كُتِبَ عَلَى الَّذِينَ مِنْ قَبْلِكُمْ لَعَلَّكُمْ تَتَّقُونَ, that fasting has been prescribed for us, the same way it was prescribed on the nations before us, so that we become among those who have taqwa. That means fasting can do this for us. But is it any fasting? Or it's something that is very specific? We need to know the reality of fasting. As we know, a person, for his fasting to be valid, he has to abstain from food and drink and sexual relations from the break of dawn, from Fajr time to Maghrib time. And with the certain rulings of fasting, in which if any of these rulings is not valid, then the person has to repeat the day according to the rulings of fasting. But this is a level that we need to go over it and elevate ourselves to benefit from the fasting and to be among those who have taqwa, to have our whole entire life to change to the better. How is that? By doing the rulings mentioned in the Quran and the Sunnah, obeying Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. We refrain from the necessities of our lives for the sake of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, and that's something that is of a great reward from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Also, we refrain from committing sins. We refrain throughout the month of Ramadan from the bad habits that we acquired before. As we know, for example, smoking is not permissible. And a person, for his fasting to be valid, he has to abstain from it throughout the day of Ramadan. If he is capable or she is capable of abstaining, refraining from such a bad habit throughout the month of Ramadan, this is an evidence that it's something easy to be done. You cannot say anymore, I cannot leave it. I'm very weak. If you're fasting the month of Ramadan, you are a strong individual. Our hearts has to fast from envy, and before that from associating partners with Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Tawheed is the basic thing in our religion, worshipping none but Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Having the hearts attached to other than Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is a form of shirk, associating partners with Allah. In fasting, we have our hearts attached to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala alone. No one can really see if you are fasting or not. That's why it's an act of worship of sincerity. We purify our hearts by fasting and abstaining from envy, from being not sincere, from being not truthful. And this is a way of purifying our hearts, elevating ourselves. To fast in the real way of fasting, elevating ourselves with the rewards. The different parts of our bodies, we need to make it the way that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala wants it to use it. So our eyes, we only make it see what Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala wants us to see. We abstain from looking at things that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala forbade us from looking. And that's why غَضُّ الْبَصَرِ, lowering our gaze in Ramadan and in other than Ramadan, something that is an obligation for us to do. But in Ramadan, it is made easy for us. So we protect throughout the days and the nights of Ramadan our eyes from looking at things that is forbidden for us. We protect our ears from listening to something that is not permissible for us to listen to. Whether it's backbiting, whether it's musical instruments, things of that nature, we abstain from all of that. It is time for us to listen to the Quran, to read the Quran. And this is something else, our mouth. How can we use our mouths in the things that pleases Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala? Abstaining from foul language, abstaining from backbiting, which are all sins. And the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam mentioned in the authentic hadith, the meaning of which, that if a person is fasting, then he should not say on any of the foul languages or foul words. He should refrain from raising his voice and to be loud. And if anyone quarrels with him or cause any harm in meanings of speaking and physical actions, he should say, Inni sa'im, inni sa'im. He should say, I am fasting, I am fasting. So fasting is not just abstaining from eating and drinking and sexual desires, but rather it's something that is more than that. Abstaining from all the things that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala forbade us from doing. Making the believer, purifying his heart and the rest of the parts of his body to be according to the way of the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam. If we have this manner throughout the month of Ramadan, making sure that it's 30 days or 29 days in which the person will have a perfect way of life, following the way of the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam, exerting ourselves, even if it seems difficult. We would do this for the sake of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, only 30 days. You would see the effect afterwards. We would see the effect afterwards if we are patient with regarding to the orders of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. So this is something that should be a mean for us as a life-changing, to fast in the real way, in the way that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala wants us to fast, to fulfill the level of taqwa, to be among those who have taqwa in the month of Ramadan, so that we live the rest of our lives the same way. And this is a sign of acceptance of the fast and the good deeds done in Ramadan. We ask Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to accept our fast and to make us among those who believe in Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala and fulfill His orders. وصلى الله وسلم وبارك على محمد وعلى آله وصحبه وسلم. والسلام عليكم ورحمة الله وبركاته. الله 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 الله